Oh, there we got a good signal. Oh, what they're buzzsawing over there. It's pretty loud. Hey, welcome to Georgetown, guys. Where we're on the campus of Georgetown University. And we're going to walk. We're going to walk down to the White House. Hello, Linda. So we are at 37th Street, 37th and O. And we have to go down to 16th and Pennsylvania. So this is going to be what? Rather long walk, 20 blocks one way and another god number of blocks the other way. Morning, Chris. It is a clear day. It's not as cold as I thought it was going to be. I mean, it's still kind of cold, but I don't have gloves on, for example. Though I probably, if I had gloves, I would put them on. Kind of grainy. Oh, that happens sometimes. We're checking out a HAPS broadcast. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to do a HAPS broadcast on the way to the White House. And then when we get to the White House, I'll switch and I'll come back using another platform that'll be Periscope, YouTube as well. Trying out a new app just to see how it works. Prism. I'm going to use Prism Live Studio. Never used it before, but some other people say it's pretty good quality. So we'll try both. Morning. So we're going to walk through Georgetown's residential district, then their commercial district, and then we're going to go down Pennsylvania Avenue and head to the White House. Stop motion, that's weird. An odd hum is over there. That's some guy cleaning the yard or something. I hope. Let's get away from him. Hopefully that's the odd hum. So we'll also go see the Exorcist steps, because they're just up around the corner here. Yeah, it seems to be following me. Frying pan into the fire kind of situation. Choppy as it's sent to Periscope. Oh, that sucks. I'm not sure why. Hopefully that'll tighten up. There's not many people at Periscope right now manning the tech, which is kind of frustrating. Maybe the signal. Image quality is good. Am I going to the inaugural? No, I won't. I've been to several inaugurals. I was at President Bush's inaugural, the first. I was at President Clinton's inaugural. So I've been around for both of them. It's clear on HAPS itself. Is it 720p? I think HAPS is sometimes 720p. I don't know if it's 1080. So some weird glitches every now and then. There's the Tombs. This is a Georgetown bar called the Tombs. It was kind of the model for St. Elmo's Fire, the movie. The bar where everybody goes as a student in Georgetown. It's down in the basement of this building, the Tombs. It's a rowing bar, really big with crew set. So that's the Exorcist house, guys. That's where they filmed the movie The Exorcist. If you've never seen The Exorcist, turn off the lights tonight, cuddle up in bed and watch The Exorcist. No, I'm not going to go to the inaugural. Who knows what it's going to be? It's too crazy. It's not worth it. They actually really suck. You don't get very close. You can barely see the guy anyway. So there's the Exorcist steps. And down here are the Exorcist stairs. For those of you who have watched the movie The Exorcist, you know what this is all about. You know why these steps are pretty important. But for those of you who might watch The Exorcist tonight, I'm going to let you just chill and think about that. I've got so much stuff in my pockets. I've got cables, I've got keys, I've got headphones, and I've got candy. And it's the candy that I want. Hang on. Oh, YouTube is good quality. Yeah, I don't know what's going on at Periscope right now. He just made a statement, Trump did, but I don't know where he's at. Candy. Ah. So that's the house that Senator Claiborne Pell used to live in. Senator Pell is most notable for the creation of what's called a Pell Grant. If you've gone to University of the United States and received financial aid, it's likely one of your grants was a Pell Grant, named after the senator. Now, this is an old, rackety road. Now, that's Virginia just over there. Oh, that's right, he's going to the Alamo today. Trump is heading to Texas. But I don't think there is a wall in the Alamo. Isn't the Alamo like somewhere deep inside Texas? Yeah, it's not like at the border. Senator Pell of Rhode Island, yes. I believe he was a Republican, actually. Yeah, he's going to the Alamo. But where's the Alamo, in Austin? Or where's the Alamo? Fort Worth? I don't even know where the Alamo is. Alamo Landscaping Company. Could be. Maybe he's just going to Alamo Car Rentals. Hey, Spike. How's it going? I saw a scramble of Typhoon fighters out of, was it Stansted, I think, today? There was an unidentified plane coming in towards London. And RAF had to scramble earlier today. There were reports of sonic booms all over Cambridgeshire and even Essex. Pell was a Democrat? He was? Okay. I thought he was one of those, like, New England Republicans. You know, those, like, liberal ones. San Antonio, that's what's happening. You sure he wasn't one of those, like, New England Republicans who switched to a Democrat? I don't know. Well, I guess he was a Democrat. Madeleine Albright, Clinton's Secretary of State, used to live right there. I don't know if she still does. I think she's a professor at Georgetown. She used to live right up that street. Well, this is Captain's Row. This is where all the old Georgetown ship captains used to live. I guess they weren't really captains, they were like marine industry. Georgetown was a big tobacco trading port. More candy. Hey, Brenda. So this is John F. Kennedy's house. John F. Kennedy Jr., before he was president, was Senator Kennedy, and he lived in this house. If you look at pictures of Senator Kennedy in Georgetown, you'll see him standing in the doorway of that house. Kind of ODing on candy right now. Just trying to get rid of it all. Trump is in Texas today. Sorry, I'm eating candy. Mike and Ike's. Mike and Ike's candy. It was my breakfast. Mike and Ike's are basically sugar covered with sugar, then flavored with sugar-flavored juice. And I don't know why. I just bought a box of Mike and Ike's the other day. And I had some, and of course I like sugared out, so I threw it in the car, and I kind of forgot about it. And then today I was like, I should get some gloves, and I found the candy. There's some sort of weird issue with the stream in the Periscope interface. But I tell you what, when we get to the White House, we're gonna restart the scope. We're trying it with HAPS today. This is a HAPS broadcast, but on the way back we'll be using something else, just to see how they work. Alamo. But he had a car reservation at Alamo. They should have known. Apparently there's going to be a big protest at the Twitter headquarters soon. So DC started vaccinating over 65s yesterday. So, but of course the line is huge. I don't know when Illinois is, because my dad's quite old. He needs the vaccine. I'm like the lowest priority. I'm a low priority, but I might be able to get it earlier if I go to Hong Kong. Hey, let's look for some houses. Hi. Okay. That's for rent. Small. These are all rentals. I want to buy. That's a lot. Rent's about $4,000 to $5,000. Well, that'll be fun. Yeah, somebody said that Florida was using Eventbrite or something like that to get registrations. So this is where John F. Kennedy proposed to his wife, Martin's Tavern. This is a famous pub in Washington. He wrote the inaugural address here, and it's very common. Sam Rayburn, Lyndon Johnson used to come here. Pretty much all the presidents have come to Martin's Tavern at one time or another. Well, this is Georgetown. This is the hoity-toity neighborhood of Washington. The rent is very, very expensive here by U.S. standards, but you can get a lot cheaper in other parts of the city. But they're just as fun. Hey, Baruch. So basically, every shop you see on my right-hand side is empty. Yeah, there's nothing here. And on the left, it's basically every other shop is empty. There is a booth in the restaurant. It's called the Kennedy booth. In fact, all the presidents have a booth. There's the Truman booth, the Kennedy booth, the Nixon booth. And these are the booths that those guys used to sit in when they would come by. That's the Apple store. So a lot of like American political historians will come to Martin's just to see what it was like. It's said that he wrote the inaugural address on a yellow notepad at Martin's Tavern. You know, in the days prior to the inauguration speech, Kennedy was seen writing on a yellow notepad in Martin's. That's kind of weird. I've been hearing some weird, there's a lot of strange tech stuff going on right now. Abercrombie and Fitch, Vineyard Vines, Ralph Lauren. Yeah, we're definitely in the preppy Georgetown neighborhood. Also a lot of heroin addicts. Alright, we'll pick which way we're gonna go. Good morning. The big Barnes & Noble is now a big Nike store, but next to the big Barnes & Noble is now an Amazon store. So the Amazon store isn't quite as all-encompassing as the big Barnes & Noble was. In retrospect, I almost got attacked by a cougar at the Barnes & Noble. I just was too dumb and naive at the time. Chadwick's. Yeah, most of the, hey, thanks for the sub. Most of the bars you know from 20 years ago are gone. Clyde's is still here. J. Paul's closed. The Tombs is still here. Third edition. That's a funny story. I got a call. This is back when I was single. Buddy called me on Thanksgiving night and said, dude, what are you doing? I'm like, nothing. He's like, let's go to third edition. I'm like, it's Thanksgiving night. Third edition is not going to be open on Thanksgiving night. And he's like, yeah, it is. I was there last year on Thanksgiving night and it was open. And I'm just like, I don't know what's more pathetic. Going out on Thanksgiving night to a bar, or going out with a guy who went out last year on Thanksgiving night to a bar. So it was definitely a complicated situation. Well, Cafe Milano is where Ivanka goes. That was back there, across from the Apple store. Bum, 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 bum. Hello. Welcome to Washington M Street. And we're walking to the White House. We're now at 31st Street, and we need to go to 16th Street. So that's another 15 blocks. We've gone about 6 blocks already. Last night there was a carjacking up there, about 2 blocks up that road. There was an armed carjacking. Oh, the cougar attack. Okay, so, yeah. I'm in the Barnes & Noble coffee shop, yeah? And I'm studying for something. I was like going back to law school, so I was studying for the test. And it was really packed that night. And this rather attractive but older woman came and said, I'm sorry, but all the seats are taken. Do you mind if I sit here? And I said, sure. And then we started just a brief bit of chatting. And then she mentioned something like, oh, so many books, but not that many exciting ones. And I said, yeah. I said, but they've got my book. Because I don't know if you know, I wrote a book on the Gulf War. I wrote a military history book on the Gulf War a few years back. And it was in the Barnes & Noble. And then her eyes just like suddenly like perked up, like, you wrote a book. And I'm like, yeah, it's over in the military history section. And like her demeanor after she found out I wrote a book was like, neat. But I was too naive and stupid to even know what was going on. But she like basically stared at me for the next like 5 minutes while I was reading a book. And then I was like, I think I need to go put change in my car parking meter or something like that. I got out of there. But in retrospect, I should have played that one better. Yeah, we're gonna have a nice walk. I don't know, it's maybe like 2 miles maybe. Because I'm looping around a bit. I mean, as the crow flies, it's probably only a mile. Venezuelan embassy's down there. Oh, I've had many worse fails than that. I've had fails that my friends have actually like punched me for being so stupid. That's what happens when you're like a really naive, innocent kind of guy. My data plan is basically unlimited, I think. Yeah, one day I'll have to tell you about Peanut Butter Woman in college. That was a funny story. It is pretty quiet. Georgetown campus is closed. There's not a lot of shopping going on. Most people are on reduced activities, work from home, etc. Old Ebbett's Grill is down by the White House, and yes, it is still around. Hello. Let's see what's new in the bookstore. History of France. This is a political bookstore. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Marley and Me, I've heard the book. Or the movie. Sick. I tell you, like, if you write a book, there are some women who will just throw themselves at you. So I've been told. When you write a military history book, you don't get women throwing themselves at you. Is the stream over? No, I'm still here. Hey, see you later, Bob. I still read paper books. I like books. I'm reading 2 books right now. Right now, I'm reading The Oxford Inklings, which is the story of Tolkien and C.S. Lewis and the other guys who supported them in becoming writers. It's called The Inklings. And I'm also reading a book called Unwrapping the Enigma, which is the authorized history of GCHQ, that was the Four Seasons. And that's the British spy guys. I have an MI5 and an MI6 book, so now I have the GCHQ book. It's actually not that nice, that Four Seasons. My friend stayed there. I went to visit, and I was just like, you paid how much for what? So that's the Four Seasons right there, Georgetown. Yeah, college books are obscene. Textbooks are a scam. Just a scam. Wish you were here. Not much going on here, to be honest. Yes, Navy SEALs write books for the women, I guess. It's got to be hard to pick up a woman as a Navy SEAL. The reason is nobody believes you. They're like, okay, so what did you do? I used to be a Navy SEAL. Check, please. Bye. Yeah, right. Yeah, MI5 got, or as it was known in England, spooks. MI5 was on for a few years in the US, but then they stopped showing it in the US because the plot line got really anti-American. And they thought it wouldn't sell in America. So the last few seasons of Spooks / MI5, as it was called in the US, didn't really air in the US. But you can get them online. Where are we at now? 26th Street. All right, 10 more blocks to the White House, guys. 10 blocks. I don't know how close we're going to get, though. Everything's on frickin' lockdown. Hello. Yeah, that's the other thing. Like, so I use WhatsApp. I use, Line and Telegram. Line is the Japanese WhatsApp, but it has a feature saying who's nearby, and you can just see people that are in your area who want to chat. So I push that button, and then within like a half hour, I had like 20 friend requests from like incredibly gorgeous women. And I'm like, I know you're spam bots, but I just don't want to delete your friend request. Yeah, a little walk today. So yeah, thanks for the sub on Haps. We're broadcasting on Haps, which is a new live streaming app, and it's simulcasting to Periscope, YouTube, and I don't know where else, Twitch. So it's also being broadcast on Twitch. My username on Twitch though is the Penguin6, because my regular username is all messed up. Telegram, yeah, I've got Telegram and Signal too. Yeah. Basically, any woman who tries to friend me on these apps is an automatic spammer. I've been getting a lot of Facebook spam lately, too. I've never been in that church. It's kind of modern, though. Squirrel. Someone said that, like, if you're outside walking, the temperature is 20 degrees warmer than the air temperature. Because, well, you're exercising, basically. It's hot. Other night, there was an armed robbery right here at this block with AK-47s. Somebody sitting and waiting for the bus got robbed by some guys with AK-47s. Right here. It's like, what the hell? We're very close to 24th Street, 8 blocks from the Capitol. Oof. My hands are cold. So up here is George Washington University Hospital. This is where President Reagan was taken when he was shot. It's also where President Cheney underwent heart surgery. Though the actual building from Reagan, so that was the building when Reagan was here, but now they have a new building next door. I will say my face is quite warm from the mask. A bunch of homeless people here. This is a homeless village. Penguin6 is because I even have a generator. It's pretty advanced. I used to have a Linux company, a company using Linux, which was Penguin, and I was playing the video game Rainbow Six. So I just sort of put it together, Penguin6. So this is GW's hospital. This is the emergency room. Actually, quite a few number of ambulances. See, that's the big thing that changed since I went to Hong Kong. I went to Hong Kong, and every ambulance looked like the vehicle on the right. Your standard Ford Transit van, yeah? But when I come back from Hong Kong, all the ambulances became mini trucks. Yeah? The reason, Americans just getting fat. So those had to buy those big ambulances to transport everyone. Plus they have more toys in the back of the ambulances now. Yeah. So DC actually got smart. So DC's emergency medical system is a disaster. But they decided they hired a company to do all the non-emergency transport. So this is a private ambulance here that works for DC government. So when they get a call that doesn't warrant like a full medic response, they can send the private ambulances. Red October, of course, is the classic. Red Storm Rising is pretty good. You know, it's interesting. If you read the novels very closely, you'll see that Jack Ryan lived on the cliffs of the Chesapeake Bay on the western shore of Maryland. which is basically where I live. So, yeah, I am Jack Robin. World of Warships is fun. Why did this get tagged as World of Warships in Twitch? It always does. World of Warships is fun. I played a lot, but it's a throwaway 3 or 4 minute game. Yeah, I guess that's the thing. They can move around a lot more in the bigger ones, and they have more machines that go bing and all that stuff. But they also have bigger patience. It's crazy though, so my niece is a doctor, and she's not an ER doctor, though she did a rotation in the ER. And she tells me, like, sometimes the cases, it's just really frantic. And in one case, there were 2 doctors attending, and she was still a med student or whatever. And the 2 doctors both turned to get something at the same time, and they bashed heads into each other. And one of the doctors was knocked out, and the other doctor was, like, almost knocked out. And suddenly, she's got this patient, she's the med student, and there's like no attendings. And she's just like, oh God. Space is at a premium. I guess they just tagged him. It's interesting because, see, Baltimore, Maryland, which is about an hour from here, has a higher violent crime rate than DC. More people were getting shot in Baltimore than were in DC. But a greater number of the Baltimore patients were surviving than those in DC. So they commissioned some studies, and it was 2 things. 1, the Baltimore ambulance medic system was more advanced, and 2, they had Johns Hopkins Trauma Hospital, which is like super trauma hospital, and they were able to get super critically injured people to that facility faster. DC, well, it was a bit of a mess. So they're trying to fix it. Well, where are we at now, guys? We're at 21st Street. 6 more blocks to the White House. 6 more blocks. On my right is George Washington University. It's an urban campus, so you can't really tell where it begins and where the city ends. Yeah, the pace and space, and boom. She said this one was just, she said something like one of the doctors was coming up to get, like he had picked something up underneath the stretcher or the gurney, and the other was going down to get something, and they just head-to-head direct contact. And they said it was a thump. They had a big welt on his head. So this is George Washington University over here on my right. It is strange. Baltimore's an hour away, but it's like a couple days away culturally. People in Baltimore and DC just have very different cultural bases. I mean, it's strange. There's not a lot of mixing. I like Baltimore. There's a Hopkins hospital. There's a lot of, like, in the suburbs, there's a Johns Hopkins, the medical group, whatever, bought the hospital. But in Baltimore, they have the super duper shock trauma, whatever level it's called nowadays. We have one here, MedStar, but they've got like their own helicopters on the roof. We are almost there. So this is 20th Street, 4 more blocks. I'm not sure how much we're going to get to see though, but we'll figure it out. Yeah, I mean, that's the nice thing about the Acela, the trains from DC to New York. You can get to New York in a couple hours, 2 or 3 hours from DC, even faster from Baltimore. I think from Philly to New York is like an hour. Yeah, Baltimore's its own statistical area and its own, like, whatever. It's like Like, they don't like the Redskins out of spite, even when they didn't have a team. Now, of course, they're all Ravens fans. Are the troops in front of the White House? I don't know, Stephen. We're going to find out. Level 1 is now the name, Level 1 Trauma Center. So this building on the right is the International Monetary Fund. The IMF is the people that loan money to governments to help shore up their economic systems. And next to it is the World Bank. And over there is the Mexican Embassy. In the summer, this is a really nice fountain, but it's too cold. But I never told you that story. So there was a guy, El Salvador. Most of the Hispanics in DC come from El Salvador. It's a big El Salvadoran community here. And there was a guy working at a building down here as like a janitor. And the reason is I'm using the HAPS app, which doesn't have image stabilization. So you're getting a little bit more bounce than you're probably used to on Periscope. So this guy from El Salvador, his cousin came to DC. He's like, okay, I'll get you a job. He's like, what's my job? Your job is to power wash the sidewalk in front of the building every morning. Say, I can do that. So his job was to power wash, and he did that every single day, and he did it pretty well. But then came winter, first real Washington sub-zero winter day. And you know what he did? He went out to power wash. So he power washed the street. It was like 22 degrees. Within like a few moments, the entire sidewalk was nothing but ice. I mean, nothing but ice. People were like slipping and sliding everywhere. And they're like, oh no. He's like, I didn't know. So then he discovered what salt was for. That's a fun story. So this is the World Bank. In fact, pretty much all these buildings are World Bank over there. But this is the main building of the World Bank. Was actually so much of an issue, the Washington Post wrote a story about it. They're like, did you slip and fall at 19th and M the other day? Well, this is why. Some guy just didn't know. He's new to America, cut him some slack. And that's why everybody went slip sliding. Oh wow, they've already got the snow plows out. So snow plows in most parts of the country means it's about to snow. Snow plows in DC mean anti-terrorist barricades. There you go, snow plow blocking the road to stop traffic from coming down the street. Release the snow plows. So there's a police car over there. They're blocking streets. Oh, this is what we hate in DC. Is they block off huge parts of DC for security reasons. And then when push comes to shove, well, they got shoved. It's like, all right, for 20 years we've been living with like reduced access to the US Capitol building, and that was like for no reason whatsoever. The World Bank gets its money from donor nations. It's closed, lady, just go straight. So all the nations of the world contribute a set amount to the World Bank based on the size of their economies. So the United States, as the largest economy, is the largest contributor to the World Bank. China or Japan are second, etc., down the list. That money is used to fund development in different parts of the world. So if you want to build a new, I don't know, like a new power dam or new power grid in Guatemala, you could go to the World Bank and look for money. Now the IMF is formed to loan money to governments. So if the Venezuelan peso, or whatever they use in Venezuela, is falling, or the Greek lira, they can loan money to the government to try to get them out of debt. All right. Final block. God, they've got they're already boarding up the windows over here. Yay, American democracy. I hate this. So, DC is very clean. It's relatively clean. I mean, it's funny you mention that because I've had a lot of people tell me that DC is a very clean city. And I guess that's somewhat true. Well, they got the riot fences up at the White House too. I know they put the riot fences up at the Capitol. Let's go across the street here. It's not like there's any cars. Yeah, it's, Google Maps has to like update frequently because of like motorcades and other stuff. Immigrant food. Oh heavens. It used to be a Jimmy John's. They're adding 2 floors to that building. Yeah, it's kind of boring. I mean, if you get off the beaten track and go into, go around Howard University or go around Union Market and stuff, you can get to a little bit more real. Okay, guys, that's the White House right over there, surrounded by these riot fences. I suspect these fences go all the way around. We're going to go into Lafayette Park. That's the executive office building. That's where most of the president's staff actually work, in that building. There's only a few people actually in the White House. 39 seconds. Yeah. Breaking the law, breaking the law. So these are the riot fences. These are actually pretty interesting. You can't really unlock them unless you move the cement barrier in the background. So these actually are pretty hard to get over, I guess. You have to take the cement barrier off. Hey, how you doing? I was actually going to go out to the bay today, but then I changed my mind at the last minute. Go out to our house and just chill. The apartment drives me nuts with the kids on top of each other.
Yeah, bro.
Yeah, we're not going to be able to get too close today, it looks like. Everything is getting boarded up again. Oh wow, the sidewalk's even closed. Oh, this sucks. So we can't get any closer, guys. I guess we can go by here. First Amendment. First Amendment activities. All firearms prohibited. You know what? I guess we can go down this way. So we're going to go down the south lawn, I guess. Lots of little birds. The White House is just to my left. But, as you can see, there's these giant riot fences. So what I've got to do is I've got to walk around another block or two to the south, and then we'll get over by the White House Christmas tree, and you'll be able to see the White House from there. Yeah, it's sad to see. these guys. So the White House is right over there, behind the fence, just half a block, but we're going to go around to the south end. Now the inaugural parade is going to be there, but I guess Biden's not going to do that. Now there's actually a second row of fencing down closer to the White House. So if they breach this, which I don't know how they do, short of a dump truck, they have to hit a second fence. Yep. These have been up periodically since the George Floyd protest, which is pretty sad. Yeah, I don't know how long this fence will be up. This is actually not a long walk for me. Not by my old standard. I have a Fitbit on, but I don't know what it says right now. These are the same type of fencing that is now surrounding the US Capitol. These are known as basically riot fences. And they're stored in a warehouse until such time as needed. But yeah, these are the exact same fences. I don't think they're stored here. Oh, are they permanent at the base? No, they're really complicated. They're all interlocked. So one is interlocked. They're interlocked at the base, and then they're interlocked at the top. So you have to jiggle them to get them free, but to do that, you have to remove that giant cement barricade. So I don't think it's that easy. I mean, I think even if nobody was harassing you and you got that cement block off, it'd still be a pain in the ass to disconnect this thing. How does this work? Oh, I see. It's two pieces. So there's a base piece, and then there's a top piece. So I guess you can pull the top piece. Oh, actually, that's not that hard to get off. So if you lift this up, it'll come out. So if you lift the top piece straight up, it'll come out. The bottom piece has to shift back. I thought they were welded together. If they're welded together, they'd be basically impossible to breach. But if you had a bunch of people come and try to lift it, they could. Oh my God, the flag's at half staff. I didn't know they'd. That's nice. The flags are at half staff. That's for the policemen, maybe. They pulled them down. Yeah, it would be tough to pull down because it's so heavy, but it would be actually quite simple to lift it up. You only have to lift it up like 4 inches, 5 inches. I mean, I'm sure it weighs a ton. But if there's a bunch of you, you could easily lift those up. Most cops have told me in crowd control situations, you really just have to worry about the vanguard, the crazy people at the front. They draw their strength from the numbers, but the reality is that a very few number of people are actually ready to destroy something. So like trying to lift this, you'd have like a dozen guys who want to lift it, and then the thousands would come in afterwards. You need a big stepladder. I don't even think you need a cutting torch. I just think the way it's built, it just lifts right up. So the vertical piece just lifts up. The bottom piece, though, is all jammed together. I thought they were all welded together. That would have made more sense. Here we go. Now we're getting out on the lips. This is where Trump had his speech the other day. This is where it all started. Oh, I'm sure they've already done their recon. Honestly, I'm not too worried about the 20th. The Capitol thing, they got caught flat-footed. They were just unprepared already. And in the previous inaugurals, they're prepared. I mean, and they're going to be prepared for this one. There's going to be a massive number of police and troops here. So I don't really think there's much to worry about. Of course, I said that the other day too, and all hell broke loose. Now they are building another fence at the White House. This will be permanent though. That's what's going on behind this white thing over here. God, I'm gonna take my mask off for a second. Ugh. Whew. Fresh air. Yeah, forklift. Whew. So Trump made his speech right over here, and then they walked up to the Capitol. To be honest, it's actually a bit of a hike. From here to the U.S. Capitol is about a mile and a half, 15 blocks, something like that. It's not, and of course you're marching at like a stroll, like crowd pace. So I think people had to have left his speech early to get to the White House. There's not even a sign about it. Apparently the guy who died was a Trump supporter. So there's the national Christmas tree, guys. It's de-lit right now. He did order it, so he did order it to half staff. That makes sense. I know the Capitol flags were lowered immediately. So this is the new White House fence. It's like 12 feet high. The old White House fence was like 8 feet high. So, oh man, they put a plastic, can't even see in now. How anti-tourist can you get? Hey Mark, how you doing? We're at the White House, which is bubble wrapped right now. There's the top of the White House just there. Well, they even covered up the 0 milestones. You have absolutely no way to like look over the fence. So guys, Mark is in the chat. He is the CEO and founder of HAPS. If you want to talk about HAPS, there you go. There's the White House. Told you I'd get here eventually. But now they got this big fence, and they're putting up this plastic so you can't actually see anything. How annoying is that? Security theater annoys me. There's our Christmas tree. It's the national Christmas. They actually cut up, you know, the top of it used to be chopped off, but it looks like it's growing back. That's pretty good. Oh, here we go. See, step up on this cinder block. There we go. Let's try to zoom in here with the HAPS has this zoom feature. And there's the White House. What little tiny bit you can see. Now in the old days, this road used to be opened. In fact, there's a scene in All the President's Men where like Woodward and Bernstein come out of a taxi cab and drive over here, but now everything's closed, everything's fenced, everything sucks. Alrighty guys, guess what? I finished. I'm gonna walk back. Oh, you can see they've got like, in case the helicopter comes, they've got like flags up on the poles. Yeah, it's a lot different. It's just a big zoomed in mess. Fenced in mess. Alright guys, so yeah, I'll pass that on to him. So guys, I'm gonna end. I'm gonna take a little break, and then I'm gonna walk back to Georgetown. So I hope you guys enjoyed this broadcast. If you haven't, download the HAPS app or check me out on other stuff. Guys, talk to Mark if you want. Mark has always got some interesting stuff to say about live streaming. All right, guys. See you later. Bye-bye.